Hello there, and welcome to 10 Tips and Tricks for Beginners in KeeperRL. In this video, I'm going to give you all the things you need to know to get yourself a nice start into this game and make your learning curve with this game more enjoyable. Or at least that's been my intention. So I want to get started with number one right off the bat. Something that you need to get used to is dying and losing. This game is not meant to be beaten easily, and since it's a roguelike, it is also not giving you the ability to save and reload. You have to bear the consequences of your actions and therefore try to learn as much as possible out of your defeats. If you're too bothered with one faction, try another, spice up your gameplay. Just don't get frustrated with losing because that's just part of the gameplay. The most important thing is with every one of your defeats, try to get something off of it which you would do differently next time. That's, for me personally, always the most important thing. Number two that I want to talk about is key bindings. So this game comes off as a classic roguelike, which means the graphical interface that you see is relatively new and modern, which also means that practically everything you see on the user interface can be triggered with keybinds. You can find all the key bindings over here, and I warmly recommend you to browse through them and adapt them to your own liking, but here's three of them that I personally find invaluable. D for digging and also unassigned digging. A for prioritizing a task, so if there's something in particular that you want to see done, use this. So you can, for example, set up a digging command and then press A and prioritize it so your workers get to that immediately. So, and the last one I personally use a ton is C for torches, because lighting, well, I'm going to lose a few words about that later down the road. So these three are the ones that I use a ton. An honorable mention also goes to holding down left control and using the mouse wheel to change between height levels. I also find that very, very useful. Also middle mouse button for this one. So find way more of these, but yeah, I hope this helps. Number three, I want to talk about expansion goes downward and upward. So you can construct stairs downwards, and that really goes deep as you want to go, basically. But as long as there is a mountain above you, you can also dig upwards. And this way, you can easily find yourself some iron, some granite, lots of different things can be also found up above. Like you see here, I had a pretty nice iron deposit. And also, there are challenges. So you see, there's even monstersies upstairs, so dig with care. Generally, dig with care. When you go downstairs, eventually you'll hit hollows like these, and sometimes there's also enemies down there, so it's not free resources. Not at all. Be careful. Now, number four that I want to talk about, don't overplan your initial design, just start building. So here, for example, I dug straight into the mountain and just started crafting some rooms just as I needed them. The point here that I want to make is very simple. You can create every kind of structure later. You can just set yourself even a rock wall here back up and then start redesigning your dungeon as you want to. Here, for example, I plan to use this as the main entrance that I'm going to spike up with traps. You don't need to have a good design right from the get-go. Quite the opposite. It would be pretty bad to over-design right off the bat because you just don't have enough workers for a good layout. You want to get started quickly so you can start training quickly and start pillaging quickly. That's way more important than a sophisticated design to get started with. Just stick your way in and get started. Number five, lighting. So as you see, I have lights everywhere where people work because in the darkness, your work speed is lowered. Since torches don't cost anything except for the working time of your imps, this is just massive. And overall, you can get yourself a big advantage out of that by just adding in torches where it's necessary. The game doesn't ask you to do this out of cosmetical reasons alone. It speeds up your working process. Very, very important. Number six, quality over quantity. So You can increase the population of your dungeon by researching various farming techniques, chicken breeding, pig breeding, and so on and so forth. These all allow you to increase the amount of population in your dungeon. As you see here, 4 more via chicken coops, 8 more via pigs, and 16 more via cows. The thing here, though, is a highly equipped, a very well equipped and highly trained fighter beats a army of rabble every day. The thing with this game is high quality troops are very, very good to have, and some enemies are just not simply floodable with low rank rabble. Personally, I would always prefer high quality troops over many low quality troops in this scenario. That's pretty much all I want to point out here. There are, of course, scenarios where you can beat enemy with quantity, especially the Goblin Shaman that you can recruit are a really good example with their summoning abilities. But if you want to flood the enemy with something, just don't over-equip them because you won't be getting those resources back. Number 7, activity control. This is something I've really found extremely useful because, as you see here, my goblin warriors currently are lurking around the forge, and all of them are forging their own gear. The thing is, they pretty much are not the best forges. If you check out the artificer, he can do this work just faster. So you can go here into activity and enable or disable what people can do. So crafting, for example, here I thoroughly disable that now for all goblin warriors because they're supposed to do different things. They're not supposed to be crafting ever. So this way you can configure who's doing what. You can also assign a singular artificer specifically to some tasks, or yeah, it's just very valuable to know that you can stop your people from wasting time like that. Number 8, a thing that I want to talk about next is that you eventually will have to plan quarters for everyone. There is a ability to make quarters. You just draw that over a room, and then this room must contain a bed, and then you can assign it to a certain person. What's that good for? For the late game leveling it is good for. As you see here, golden bookcases allow you to go up to 99 levels up, and the same goes for the adamantine 99 levels. You are limited though in the luxury level of the quarters of the specific minion then. So all these items that you can then bring in that increase luxury become important for this reason alone. So you don't need to put anything luxury in your fort at all. The only thing that I personally found extremely useful were dining tables, as being satiated makes your people a little bit happier. But apart from that, quality luxury only matters later once you go into the late game training of your folks, and that's the point where everybody will need his own apartment. And that's why it doesn't matter to just build a couple of dormitories early on. You will dismantle these eventually either way and build quarters for your elite troops. That's that. Number 9, ranged enemies are the worst. So when you're scouting out where you want to go next, everything that reeks as like it could shoot back at you is always the hardest enemy to kill, as these tend to have high vision, high range, so leave these out for later. I personally like to attack the ranged enemies when I am vastly superior to these, as the combat against these is often quite nasty. Another good recommendation for these folks is bringing summoners like these shaman, so every additional target that the archers can shoot after is good because it increases the likelihood that your elite troops don't get targeted. So that's that. But beyond that, don't try to go against ranged enemies on even ground unless you have a very specific and good reason to do so. And number 10, last thing, scout before you attack. This becomes more and more important the deeper you go down the road. So, for example, these knights here, we might want to send not our A-team before we know what's there. You can easily just send a crappy equipped dude send him over there, give him his own team, and just check out how far you can make it before he dies. What you will take out of that, a clear view on the territory. You will also see if the enemy uses some special attacks that you haven't seen coming, but most importantly, you will see some randomness added into the territory that you didn't see coming. To give you an example, I've defeated these zombies, but when I entered the grid, there were not only these zombies, there were also several hillocks of humans and a couple of bandits. There's always a chance that something random will happen on these tiles, and while you might be well prepared for the knights or the dragon or whatnot, something else might spit into your soup, and that's why I personally recommend scouting with something where you don't worry too much about when losing them, because there will be a steady influx of new immigrants into your dungeon one way or another, but there won't be a steady influx of new resources. Iron doesn't regrow and such, but your minions do. So use that to your own advantage. So, not more to say. There's way more tips and tricks to add into this game, of course, but I don't want to spoil too much for a beginner. You should be now armed with a couple of things that should help you out to progress down those villains and get closer to your next victory. Or at least die trying, or even win the game. Who knows? Let me know in the comment section what you think. If you have any other tips and tricks you want to share with the community, let me know. Corrections where I stand wrong are obviously always welcome because, we all make mistakes. I don't make mine voluntarily. And last but not least, check out the description box filled with links and goodies. There's also a ways and means to support the channel financially, so if my work is worth a dime to you, it would really mean a lot to me. So, thanks for watching, thanks for supporting, and I hope you had a great time, and have a good day. Bye-bye.